Karibu sana. This is the TUBONGE talk show. It is good to see you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today will be a loaded show, an amazing, amazing show. We're talking about the economy versus the reality. Kila mtu analia, mafuta imepanda, ni kubaya. Na tukisema ni kubaya, kuna watu wananunua Mercedes ndio wananunua bana. And others are building all the houses we are seeing. What is happening? What is the reality of the economy, of the state of the economy? And I have an economist with me today, and also a leader right here around Some and in Resambu sub-county. And so he's here, but allow me to allow him to introduce himself and tell us his favorite verse and what inspires him every single morning. Karibu kiongozi.
Thank you.
Good to see you, sir.
Asante sana. Good to see you, Chege.
Yes, sir.
So, my name is Gabriel Kanja. I am the Resambu ward manager. I work at the office of the MCA. Besides that, I am an economist. I have a degree at the University of Egerton of economics. And my favorite verse is Acts chapter 20, verse 35. Chege. It is more blessed to give than to receive.
Blessed to give than to receive.
It is more blessed to give.
Yes.
Yes.
So you should be always having that heart
of giving.
It
It must always be there.
Na uti mudo ya nagagatuika, they lack.
You don't, a candle does not lose its light by lighting others. Chege.
Yes.
I will not go hungry by giving you a piece of ugali.
Absolutely.
I will not.
And I cannot give you if I don't have.
I cannot give you if I don't have that. No.
That's the logic.
So,
Yes.
God does not test you beyond your measure.
Absolutely.
Then God cannot ask you to give if He has not
Not given you.
Yes.
So naomba tu peane kidogo yenye
Hii
a
uko
part of
nayo.
what you have.
Hii uko nayo.
Amazing.
Si yako.
Great start.
Eh.
You know, God is a giver. For so much He loved the world that He gave.
He gave.
So you can't love and you're not giving.
He gave.
Now, let's just delve directly into this jargon, the elephant in the room. We've been having viewers, we've been talking about relationships here, we've talked about careers. Last time we were talking about Gen Z. Thank you for the support. You guys came through big time for the Gen Z footage and the Gen Z talk. But today, we want to talk on a different spectrum and want to focus about the economy versus the reality. Kanja, do you feel some of these things are theories? Some of them are narratives painted by media, and we buy them. And some people are even in stress and shock. Instead of going to where you work and continue working, you're already captive and saying nothing can work. Yet there are some people in the same economy who are thriving. But at the same time, we need to ask ourselves, are there some things that are going really wrong that we need to rectify? Tell us about it. Is it a reality or is it a narrative?
Thank you, Chege, for that question. If you allow me, I will respond to this question holistically. And allow me to tackle this question in three phases. The first phase, allow me to talk about the narrative. Is it a narrative painted by the media and other, opinion shapers? In the second phase, allow me to talk about reality. And the third phase, allow me to talk about theories. Let me disseminate your question into those three perspectives. And let me start with the narrative. The narrative, of course, Chege, does not make sense. It doesn't. We are in a country where some of the products that we use, consumption items, have not been taxed in the past. And now these taxes have been introduced. And we have the further state and the opposition who are against these taxes. And we have the government that are for these taxes. The opposition, for instance, together with members of the further state, that's the media and other opinion shapers, are saying that the taxes are too high. We should boycott these taxes. And on the other hand, they're saying, we need better schools for our children. We need better roads for our vehicles.
Better healthcare.
We need better healthcare. You have not released money for devolution to our counties. On one hand, don't pay taxes. People file nil return. On the other hand, release money to counties. I mean, there's a disconnect. It does not make sense. We have to be objective, even in opposition, right? We have to be objective, even in shaping opinion as members of the further states, as citizens of Kenya. We have to be very objective. What makes sense and what doesn't. Let us separate the narratives from what is practical. We get? Because of time, Jay, allow me to go to the second phase of the question. And that is to deal with the theories. Theories are good. Theories are good. From an economic perspective, theories and models are very important. You cannot be able to lay out or to roll out a plan to bring down the hit from the economy without having some paperwork. Check it.
Some background towards it.
Some background towards it. You know, some logic. Why are you doing this? Has it happened elsewhere? Has it succeeded? Has it failed? What are the best practices that you can borrow? You get? And there are some theories that have been put in place by the government that, according to me, they should work. They should work. Right now, check it. We have two types of inflation that are very key to common mwananchi. That is food inflation and fuel inflation. Allow me to touch on these two. When food prices goes up and the purchasing power of the shilling is low, people will not be able to feed properly. You will move from 3 meals a day to 2 meals a day to 1 meal a day, and sometimes to going without. Because the purchasing power, whether your salary has increased, whether it has remained constant, if your purchasing power is low, Chege, no matter how much money you have, it won't help you.
It will strain you.
It will strain you. So food inflation, how best can we curb food inflation? Because right now, the last time you bought Reco cubes, how much did you buy? 5 shillings?
Yeah, 1. Na kitambo ilikuwa 2.5.
Na si kitambo, hata ni last year.
So they're doubling.
Ilikuwa 2.5. I can remember very well at around 2017, Chege, Reco cubes was 2 shillings, 1 piece. So with 10 shillings, you could buy 5.
Yeah.
Right now, with 10 shillings, you can only buy 2. You see?
More than half.
The purchasing power has reduced your consumption by 3 units of this particular item. So how best can we now reduce this disparity? How best can we up our purchasing power using what we have internally? Purchasing power, basically we use some monetary policies here and there. You know, you reduce taxes. Once you reduce taxes, people are able to borrow. People are able to invest. You reduce banking interest rates to generally stimulate the growth of the economy. But our economy at the moment, before I go to that, let me touch on the fuel. Once there is inflation in fuel, there is inflation in everything. You've touched literally the production sector.
Yeah.
You've touched the traveling sector. You've touched on the transportation sector.
Every sector is touched.
You've touched almost everything, Jege. Even manufacturing is touched by fuel.
To a large extent, actually.
I think 5-6 years ago, a liter of petrol was about 98 shillings. 95, 98, 100 shillings. Right now, a liter of petrol is almost 200 shillings. That is double the amount.
Yeah.
What do you expect in fair prices? If then I could go from Nairobi to Nyeri with 250 shillings, now what do you expect me to double this? 500 shillings. If then I was being paid 10,000 shillings a month, and my salary has not increased,
Which most likely is the case.
or even if it has increased, it's by 10%. So now I'm receiving 11,000 shillings. Is that increase commensurate to the increase in my in the things that I consume?
The cost of living.
Is it commensurate? It's not.
Not really.
It's not. So fuel inflation is a big thorn in Kenya's flesh. Food inflation is a big thorn in our flesh. So how best can we bring them down? That is the question. And is the government really doing enough? I would say we haven't felt fruits, but they are. From where I sit, the government is doing the best. And I agree with them. In fact, I support their policies.
Yeah.
Because they are subsidizing consumption, Chege. What they are doing, farm inputs. Kenya is an agricultural society, an agricultural economy. We are agrarian. farm inputs in this particular budget, 2023-2024, the one that was passed the other day, farm inputs have been moved from zero rated to exempted. They are not supposed to pay any taxes right now.
Still a big plus.
Subsidizing production.
Cost of production.
Because if you say subsidize unga, and then you tell me today, let me buy unga at 100 shillings, which is good, I will afford. Many families in the country will afford. What about the years after? Will the government be able to sustain these subsidies? And these subsidies, Chege, they have worked in the past, especially in fuel and food, but only in pretense. Only in pretense, because they have been in terms of team service subsidies. Team service subsidies, Chege, will only work for a short while.
And sometimes with the political
long run, you get it. But what about the long run? Once you borrow 50 billion to subsidize the price of unga for a year,
and you borrowed once,
and you've borrowed once,
yeah,
remember that 50 billion will have to be paid.
it needs to be paid, yeah,
with interest. Who's going to pay the 50 billion with interest? It's the Kenyans.
You're crippling the same people who are trying to help.
Our national debt. Is that really sustainable? It is not. So, I think the government is really doing some good work in subsidizing and incentivizing production, especially in food. The other phase of your question, Chege, was
now reality. We've done
the technical, the reality. I happened to get a chance to do some home visits in a slum in Risambo called Witemere. Witemere is just behind Jesus Winner Church. And Chege, I shed tears. I did. Because of all the homes I was privileged to visit, Chege, the situation is not good. The situation is not good. The situation is not good at all. I met one Madam Jerry who had just delivered through a CS. And the lady could not afford food for the newborn, the milk, because now she cannot be able to breastfeed because of some complications here and there. So she has to buy this yellow milk. Called something like something. So this yellow milk for children. She could not afford. And she was crying, Chege, literally shedding tears, telling me, my child is hungry, I cannot breastfeed, and I cannot afford to buy milk for this child. Ata ajilili yeye, Chege. We have not even reached to our point. In Yamutoto.
Her hunger is not an issue now.
Her hunger is not even an issue. And Chege, that ripples to millions of families throughout the country. That is just one slum, a very small slum. I think the acreage is not even 1 acre. It's about an acre.
That's quite small.
Very small.
But very, very many.
But I can tell you, the situation there is dire.
Informal settlements,
It is dire. Now tell me about the situation in Kibera, the biggest slum we know. Tell me about the situation in Gadara slum. Tell me about Mukuru kwa Jenga, and that is in Nairobi. We have 47 counties. Chege. And Nairobi is the richest, by the way. Now imagine the poorest. Imagine the lives of people who are living in slums in Kilifi. Right now, our GDP per capita is one of the best in East Africa, but it's among the worst in the world. We cannot say we are the best by competing among people of a lower level. Chege, right now, if you competed with Usain Bolt or Omanyala, and then Omanyala defeated you, and he starts just thumping, I'm the best, that is nonsense. Let him compete among equals, people who can run like him. You're a pastor. He cannot preach better than you. I'm a public administrator. Maybe he cannot be able to manage people better than I. So, when we talk about affordability of food prices, I think we are not in the right direction as a country.
Yeah.
And if this economics will not work, because right now we have conflicting policies that are being put in place by the government. On one end, I think a week ago they increased the Central Bank of Kenya rates from 9.5 to 10.5%. Share what is that going to mean to the local banks? The local banks are going to increase their interest rates. Right now, I know of a bank I won't mention that charges 19% for borrowings for salary advance, right? This bank might reach even 22%. I know of a bank that charges 10% for Chama loans. I know of a bank that goes to 7.5% for societies and groups loans. These banks are going to increase from 7.5% probably to 12, from 10 probably to 15. What is that going to mean to me and you who rely on borrowing to invest? When the interest rates are high, we will not borrow.
It will be too expensive.
It will be too expensive to borrow. That means investments are going to come down. What happens to labor force and employment when investments go down, Jenny? People are not going to get jobs.
The ripple effect will be tragic.
The ripple effect will be tragic. Already the jobs that are there are few. And these few jobs that are there, we are coming for them through these interest rates because now we are going to kill them. I mean, it is not good.